Hi, my name is Dr. Vicki Sheafer. I'm Dean of the School of Psychology and Counseling here at LeTourneau University, and this is the start of my 26th year here at LeTourneau University, and so there's a lot to talk about in terms of what God is doing here and how He brought me here. So let me rewind several years and talk a little bit about how I found out about LeTourneau University and how the Lord brought me here. I was in grad school and I was in that last year of grad school getting my PhD, starting to search for jobs, and had started putting out applications and had just begun a folder of rolling rejection letters because I was getting one after another. And of course it was becoming a little bit discouraging, and I was wondering kind of what the Lord exactly was doing. I've always wanted to work at a Christian institution. I had the blessing of being raised in a Christian family, and I always just wanted to continue that legacy. And the other thing for me really was always, I've been blessed in my life to have just wonderful teachers. And outside of my own parents, who are of course my biggest influences, but I've had such wonderful teachers through the years, and I always knew I wanted to be a college professor as well. I just thought it was always so neat that teachers, it just seemed so smart to me. And you learn stuff, and I'm one of those people who has always loved school. I have loved school from the beginning, and I still love school. So as I was thinking about a career, I knew that I wanted to be a college professor, and social psychology was my area. In particular, I was interested in gender and doing study and research there. And so as I was applying for jobs, I was looking for a Christian institution. I wanted a smaller liberal arts college where that's the experience I had in college, and it was so great to have mentors and people that knew who you were and that you weren't just a number somewhere in a classroom of thousands. That's not really what I wanted to do. And so those were the kinds of schools I was looking for. But month after month went by, and rejection letter after rejection letter just kept coming through. And I was really just beginning to wonder what God was doing and what He had for me. But one day I went to a state school for grad school, a very large state school. They had a very large psychology program, and they had 5 academic secretaries that supported just the psychology program. And one of those secretaries was a Christian, and I'd gotten to know her, and we would talk often because there were not a lot of Christians at the school. There weren't a lot of Christian professors, and there weren't a lot of Christian students. And so she came to me one day and gave me a piece of paper and said, normally we put these on the bulletin board, these job announcements, but I didn't think anyone else would be interested in that, so here. And so I looked at it later, and of course when I first looked at it, it was obviously now for LeTourneau, but I didn't even know how to pronounce that. I looked at that word and I was lost. I'm from the Midwest. And so I had never heard of LeTourneau University before. And so I looked at it and I was reading it. It sounded great, and I flipped it over. And no offense to anyone, but I saw Texas and I thought, nope, it's hot there. And I did not want to move to Texas. I liked the 4 seasons of the Midwest, and of course just my family and friends were there. It's where I'd grown up, and I wanted to stay close. So I kind of just took that announcement and filed it in a garbage can, and that was a Friday afternoon, and I just kept thinking about it all weekend long. The Lord just kept bringing it back to my heart, and I kept thinking, why do I keep thinking about this? I don't want to move to Texas. I've never even heard of this school. But He troubled my heart all weekend long. And then I started thinking, well, they come every day and throw the trash out. That's going to be gone when I get there on Monday. So how am I going to figure that out? And lo and behold, right? You know how God works. I got there on Monday, and it was the only time in 4 years that the trash had not been emptied. But the trash was not empty, and there it was. And I thought, okay, Lord, I can at least apply. So I sent my application off. And again, just months kept going by and nothing was happening. But one day I finally got a call from someone at LeTourneau who wanted to do a phone interview. So we did a phone interview, and then they invited me down to campus. So, and that kind of took a little while. So my very first ever visit to Texas was in July. And so when I got here and I got off the plane and I tried to take my first breath and I realized there's no oxygen in Texas, I thought, I can't do this. There's no oxygen. I can't even breathe. It was 1,000 degrees. And I thought, nope. But as soon as I started meeting people, and as soon as I stepped foot on campus, and the couple of days I spent here meeting everyone, doing interviews, talking, there was just a spirit about this place that I had never encountered anywhere else. And I could feel the Lord just talking to me while I was here, saying, this is what I have for you. And a week later, they called and offered me the job. I still didn't want to move to Texas, but I said, yes, Lord. And I'm so glad that I did. I have to say, I still don't like the weather in Texas. I don't think I will ever get used to 1,000 degrees. But the Lord is gracious. I love air conditioning. And so it works out just fine. But in these 25 plus years, the blessings are too numerous to count in terms of what the Lord has done in my life, and the privilege that I have every day to teach students, to mentor students, to help students through difficult times of adversity in their life, and for us all to grow together. And so I think that's one of the things I love most about LeTourneau University is the sense of community and the sense of family. And the reason that we're all here, especially all of the faculty and staff, are because we know we were called. And I know I was called here, and God has reaffirmed that time and time and time and time again. I know that this is still the center of His will for my life, and I still continue to have the privilege of serving here, now as Dean, which is a new role for me, but my love for this place just continues to deepen, and it's really all about the students. I love my coworkers. I work with some great people, and I've worked with great people through the years, but it's really the students that make this a special place. And it is really just neat to see what God does in their lives and how He helps them grow and mature, and the things that they accomplish then when they graduate from here. And psychology as a field is really a pretty general and broad field. Some of our majors go on to become counselors, and that's typically what most people think of when they think of psychology, but it is so much wider and deeper than that. And so we have students that just do so many different kinds of things and serve in so many different ways to advance the kingdom all over the world. And what a privilege it is to be able to see that. And of course, I've been here long enough now that I'm starting to see the children of some of those first students, which just makes me feel old, but also is just a really special thing to have been in one place that long, to be able to have the privilege to see the next generation and to continue to train Christian professionals in psychology and counseling to minister to a lost and very hurting world. I always tell students when they come to preview, when families come to preview, when they come as freshmen, that the whole point of what we do here is that we're training missionaries. And those missionaries are just disguised with different vocational callings. But every single vocation, whether it's psychology or anything else, we get to participate in God's redemptive work in this world. And what a privilege that is to be able to train students and to be part of the influence of hopefully that helping them grow spiritually and then professionally, but also socially and emotionally. Again, at LeTourneau, we emphasize the whole person in terms of our education, and what we focus on is not just about the classroom, that's very important, but beyond that, there's so much more to the college experience and to the experience of Christian community that we hope that our students get here. So it's just an incredible journey that I've been on, an incredible privilege that the Lord continues to grant me. And there's some really exciting things happening in the School of Psychology and Counseling. We've had psychology now as a major at LeTourneau for 27 years. So I've been privileged to be here for 26 of those years. And so I really feel like, in a sense, they're all my children, and it's just a privilege to know them all. But we have undergraduate programs and we have graduate programs. We do those both on ground and online so that we can service any student with the flexibility of an online education and also then the residential experience as well. And that's true of both our undergrad and our graduate programs. So we have several different degree options for students in psychology. There's a BA and a BS in general psychology, and then we have a BS in counseling psychology. At the grad level, we have our clinical mental health counseling degrees. We also have school psychology and then a master's in psychology. So there are different options both at the undergrad level and at the grad level in terms of the kind of training that a student would receive in psychology and counseling here at the university. We have a lot of great things happening with our students. We have a psychology club that students run, and every year they plan social events, educational events, and service projects. So we have an active club there. We also have Psych-I, which is the International Honor Society for psychology students. So it's very nice to be able to recognize our students in that way as well. And we also encourage our students to get the experience. We talk a lot about the Christian Polytechnic University, and I think most people can see that readily in certain technical fields, but that's also true in psychology. The hands-on learning is incredibly important. It's how we train counselors, and it's how we train research in psychology. And so there are opportunities for students to get that hands-on practical experience through practicum or internship as they're training to be counselors. We also, for our general psychology students, have research opportunities that they can get involved in working with research projects on their own with a faculty member. I take students every year to research conferences where they can present their work. I work with students on their research and, of course, maintain active research program on my own. And so we have those hands-on opportunities both for psychology and counseling. We want to make sure that both facets of psychology get the practical and hands-on experience that LeTourneau is known for. And so that's not true of just technical fields, but I think that's true of really every major here. But we want to make sure that our psychology students also get those practical, hands-on opportunities to put skills into practice and put their faith into practice. Another thing that we emphasize in psychology is international trips and experiences. The past 2 years, for example, we've taken students to Cuba. I'm on the board of a ministry there, and so we work with Ancient Path Ministries and with a church in Cuba called La Senda Antigua, and we've done a couple of different things. We've done a youth workshop. We did a pastor's workshop. This past year, that's what we did with our students. So we had grad students, we had undergrad students that were contributing, leading workshop sessions. Our graduate students were able to do individual counseling sessions as well. But really the focus of the pastors' conference was kind of twofold. One, we did a lot of psychoeducational talks so that the pastors there would have some tools to help their congregation and members with things like depression or anxiety or stress, some of those substance abuse, different things that they see, and they might not have any idea how to help their members. So that was kind of one focus, the psychoeducational part. The second focus was with the pastoral families themselves, so things like self-care and healthy boundaries and stress and burnout, as often, again, pastors and others in helping professions, it's very high stress and it's a high burnout sometimes for those, and so we were able to speak into some of those things as well. So we've done that the past couple of years in Cuba, but we've also taken trips to Chile, to Honduras, to Guatemala, to the Dominican Republic, to Kenya, and to Australia. And so we like to encourage our students that maybe at least once in their 4 years here at LeTourneau to be able to take advantage of one of those international trips as well, and to see how missionally what they're learning in the classroom can help advance the work of the kingdom all over the world. And so that's also really important to us as a School of Psychology and Counseling, that we provide those opportunities as well. And I think, in the world in which we live, Christian higher education is more and more important. And I think it's more and more important as we see just such cultural change. The pace of the change in our culture and the drift from Christian values. When we look at the breakup of families, and we see so many social issues related to removing Christ from every cultural institution, it's more and more important, I think, to have places where students can go and grow in their faith, be challenged in their faith, learn how to integrate their faith and their discipline and what they're learning. And again, to minister to a lost and dying world. The world desperately needs hope, and they desperately need Christian professionals, whether that's a psychologist, a counselor, whatever else it is that maybe we do here at LeTourneau University. The world is desperate for hope, for the good news, for love, for sometimes just relief, to know that there's something beyond what they're struggling with now. And so I think it's all the more important that Christian higher education kind of stands in the gap, and that we provide those opportunities for students to grow and to mature and to be able to just really be a blessing to the world in which we're sending them. Because again, some of our students, they're going to go into maybe Christian counseling or in Christian agencies, and they're going to still be surrounded by kind of faith-enhancing and building environments. But the vast majority of our students are not going into Christian places. They're going into maybe social service agencies or educational or government institutions where they can't just share their faith as openly as they would probably like to, and then don't have the support in the work environment that they would have or had here at a Christian university. But because they had that training, I think they're more prepared to face those kinds of environments and thrive in those kinds of environments where people who haven't been able to grow and mature are sometimes swallowed up by those environments. And so it's really important to us as well that we're really equipping students with the tools that they need to address the lost and dying world, to be able to dialogue with that world, but to share the hope of the good news of Jesus Christ with that world.